Beneath the shadows. In the quiet town of Ravenswood, Elena moved into an old Victorian house that seemed to whisper secrets with every creak of its wooden floors. After a painful breakup, she sought solace in solitude, hoping to rebuild her life. What she didn't expect was the enigmatic neighbor, Dominic, whose piercing eyes seemed to hide a world of untold stories. Dominic was rarely seen in the daylight. He had a peculiar way of vanishing into the shadows, leaving Elena intrigued and unsettled. She discovered fragments of his life through fleeting conversations and subtle observations. A piano melody echoing through the walls, a glimpse of faded photographs on his windowsill, and the haunting sadness that seemed to envelop him. When Elena found an old journal hidden in her attic, it unraveled a chilling tale that seemed eerily connected to Dominic. The journal spoke of a tragic love, betrayal, and a curse that bound souls to eternal sorrow. As she pieced together the mystery, Elena found herself drawn closer to Dominic, their lives entwining in ways she couldn't understand. But every answer led to more questions, and her fascination grew into obsession. Their connection deepened with every shared moment, a stolen dance in the moonlight, a desperate embrace against a storm. But Dominic's past began to manifest in terrifying ways. Shadows moved when no one was there. Whispers called to Elena from the darkness, and the house itself seemed alive with grief. She learned that Dominic had once loved another woman, a love that ended in betrayal and death. The curse that followed was no mere metaphor, it was a living, breathing force. As the past clawed its way into the present, Elena realized she had to confront the darkness that haunted Dominic, a darkness that threatened to consume them both. In a desperate bid to save him, she ventured into the heart of the curse, facing unspeakable horrors. Would love be enough to break the chains of the past, or would they be doomed to repeat history? In the end, the answer would demand the ultimate sacrifice. The deeper Elena delved into the curse, the more the lines between reality and nightmare began to blur. The journal's cryptic passages seemed to echo her own fears, and she often found herself waking from dreams that felt more like memories. She began to suspect that the house, with its oppressive atmosphere, was not just a passive witness to the curse, it was an active participant. Its walls bore the weight of countless tragedies, and Elena feared she was becoming its next victim. Dominic, too, was unraveling. His once stoic demeanor gave way to moments of vulnerability, as if the curse was breaking him piece by piece. One evening, he confided in Elena about the love he had lost and the betrayal that had set the curse in motion. Tears streamed down his face as he spoke of a pact made in desperation, a promise that had damned not only himself but everyone he loved. Elena realized the curse was not just an external force, but something Dominic carried within him, a shadow that could never truly be escaped. As the full moon rose one fateful night, Elena uncovered the final secret of the journal. It spoke of a ritual that could sever the curse, but at an unimaginable cost. The ritual required not just bravery, but a sacrifice of the heart. Torn between her growing love for Dominic and her fear of losing herself, Elena knew she had no choice but to act. Time was running out, and the shadows were closing in. With Dominic by her side, Elena ventured to an ancient grove on the edge of Ravenswood, a place where the veil between the living and the dead was thinnest. The air was heavy with an unnatural silence, broken only by the whispers of unseen entities. The ritual began, each step more harrowing than the last. As Elena chanted the words from the journal, the shadows around them writhed and screamed, fighting against their freedom. In the final moments of the ritual, Elena faced the ultimate choice. To break the curse, she had to surrender the memory of her love for Dominic. She would free him from the darkness, but at the cost of their bond. Tears filled her eyes as she pressed her hand to his chest, feeling the heartbeat that she might never remember again. With a shattering cry, she completed the ritual, and the world around them erupted into light. When the dawn broke over Ravenswood, Dominic stood alone in the grove, free but haunted by an aching void where Elena's love had been. And though Elena walked back to the Victorian house, she no longer recognized the man whose life she had saved. Yet in the quietest moments, when the wind stirred the curtains or the floorboards creaked, she felt an inexplicable warmth. A reminder that love, even forgotten, leaves its mark on the soul. Days turned into weeks, and although peace had returned to the house, an emptiness lingered over both Elena and Dominic. Elena couldn't explain why she felt drawn to her neighbor, who seemed like a complete stranger, yet whose gaze stirred a warm, almost painful nostalgia within her. Dominic, freed from the burden of the curse, was alive but carried scars on his heart that he couldn't comprehend. He saw something familiar in Elena, but the fragments of the past remained elusive, like shadows slipping through his fingers. One evening, under the starlit sky, Elena found a bouquet of wildflowers left on her doorstep. They were the same flowers she had seen in her dreams, gestures of kindness that once bound two souls together. For reasons she couldn't explain, her heart ached and tears streamed down her face. She didn't remember where the emotion came from, but it felt as though the flowers themselves carried the weight of a love she had lost. Dominic began playing the piano again, filling the evening air with melodies that seemed new yet tinged with an old sorrow. One night, drawn by the music, Elena knocked on his door. Their eyes met, and for a moment the world stood still. Neither of them spoke, but the music continued to play, as if their hearts were conversing in a language they no longer understood. At times, Dominic felt compelled to learn more about Elena, as though fate was pulling them back together. But something inside him whispered of danger. Was she merely a shadow of his past, or was their story meant to begin anew, fresh and unburdened? Elena, in turn, felt a restless pull toward the man who, she knew, harbored secrets even he could not uncover. Though neither of them remembered that fateful night in the grove, traces of the past lingered in their souls. Sometimes the shadows in the house would stir, but now they brought no fear, only a sense of calm, as if to remind them that even the darkest night eventually gives way to dawn. And somewhere in those quiet moments, a new story began to unfold, free of curses but filled with the same power of love that had endured even death.